Yeah, so I think a lot of people are already here. I can see almost 100 people in the chat, and it's like just 3 minutes by the time we start. So we'll just quickly start. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Can you please confirm someone?
Yes, it's visible. Yes.
Yeah. So hey, thank you so much for joining on time. Like we are like on time, and we have almost 100 people already joining in. So this is our second edition of Magic Ball Insights, and today it's more, the theme is behind the scenes by YC Alums. We hosted the first session last year. Anand was part of it, and that was more about the application side. When how do you get into YC, the application review process, and this is just like a next step of that. Once you are inside the YC, how do you, as an Indian founder, accommodate with the conditions, and like how do you face it? So we'll just take 2 more minutes, and then we'll get into the crux of it. And before that, I see a lot of people I can see who has joined, a lot of familiar faces, and like happy to share that a lot of new faces also. So the community is expanding. To share about Magic Ball, what Magic Ball is and why Magic Ball is. So Magic Ball started in July 23. It's backed by Grayscale Ventures. Uh, so that was the time when everyone AI builders were building, but they didn't had a community to sort of brainstorm and discuss together. That's where we saw the gap, and we sort of thought of building a community out of it, just to bring people together and show what they are building. It was a purely product demo concept, and right today we are already 7,000 members strong, already hosted almost 100 plus demos, uh, and like in 25 events. And the great part is, Magic Ball helped to launch product on Product Hunt, Hacker News, and a lot of people got customers, early design partners. So feels like we are at least contributing something to the community. The aim is to like reach to almost 10,000 AI founders, because Bangalore is not just keeping up with the AI, we are leading it. And speaking of that, towards the end of this session, we have a special announcement. Magic Ball is hosting a offline event, much bigger in scale, uh, around what's trending in AI. So we'll reveal the secret at the end of this session. Uh, about me, this is Vikram from Magic Ball community. Thanks to each and everyone joining on time. Just one small thing, before we get into the question answer, before we start the panel, I would love each and every panelist to give a quick intro about themselves and a very short brief about what they are building, so that everyone who is attending will be able to relate and like try to understand. So I'll start with Anand. Uh, Anand, if you can share a bit about yourself and what you're building.
Sure. Thank you very much, Vikram, for a nice welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Anand Krishna. I live and work in Bangalore, and I am CEO and co-founder of Inkle. Inkle is a SaaS product which automates tax and accounting for US startups. We are 3 years old. We serve more than 600 companies now. These are all US venture-backed companies. And what we do is state tax, federal tax compliance, and accounting using our own software, which we built. I'm a YC alum from my first company. This is my third company. And my first was Lotus Pay, YC Summer 17.
Yeah, Arko, if you can go next.
Yeah, thanks, Vikram. Hi, hi, folks. I'm Marco. I'm the CEO of Pipeshift. We are an infrastructure company helping engineering teams in startups, mid markets, and enterprises to build with open source models. These can be language models, audio models, vision models, embedding models, also hosting their own private vector DBs. So pretty much building with AI that's actually open. That's what we help you with.
Thanks, Arko.
I'm from Summer 24. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Arko. Bhavesh, can you please give a brief intro?
Hey everyone, I'm Bhavesh. I was from the last batch, the one that just ended in March. And we are building Tejas AI, where we are actually building a platform for helping banks to update and implement their underwriting policies. It's very niche fintech, so If you have any questions, I can answer them later on. Yeah.
Thanks, Bhavesh. Fenil, quickly, if you can give your intro.
Hey everyone, I'm Fenil. I'm the co-founder and CEO of OpenFunnel. We help companies build prospecting and research agents, especially for account executives and GTM engineers at B2B SaaS companies.
Thanks, Fenil. Shaunak, if you can share about yourself.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Shaunak. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Truffle AI. At Truffle AI, we're basically building the AWS for AI agents, where we help companies build, deploy, and scale AI agents and over cloud. Yeah.
Shubham, please.
Yeah. Hi everyone, Shubham here. I'm currently the co-founder and CTO at Firstwork. We are from the summer 24 YC batch. We are building HR tech for seasonal frontline workers. So similar to like what Rippling does for white collar, we are doing it for frontline workers. Thank you.
So just one quick thing before I pass it to Anand to take the questions and start the panel. In case you have any questions, please feel free to keep dropping your questions in the chat box. At the end, we'll be taking the questions because, as Anand suggested, we want to like talk more about what people want to listen than what we have. So we'll taking all the questions. So please keep, submitting your questions in the chat box. And with that, Anand, I pass on this to you. You are in the ecosystem. By the way, just to tell everyone, if anyone doesn't know, he Anand is like a very senior in YC ecosystem. He has helped a lot of founders, with their journeys in the YC cycle, from preparing at the early stage of applying to YC to mentoring them at the later stage as well. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, although I want to make this more about the panel because these folks have done YC recently. I did YC a long time back. Yeah, so let's dive straight in with one of the tougher questions which Vikram posed just a few minutes back before most of you folks joined. And I think we'll come back to this first later. But I want to answer with something a little bit more controversial to get things going. Okay, so YC, HackerRank was the first Indian company, way back in 2008. There was a long kind of gap, and then we had like ClearTax in 2012, and then Razorpay 2015, and then a bunch more. In my batch, there was 4 companies in 2017, and then it shot up under Sam Altman to like winter 21, around 45 companies, and then it kind of slowly drifted down from there, or in fact collapsed from there to around 3-4 companies or even 5 companies in the last batch, X25, right? So I wanted to understand briefly from folks, what's your perspective on that? And I'm sure we all have an understanding. Arko, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, numbers do say that it has gone down. But I think there's definitely one reason that they are focusing more on US first companies or Bay Area based companies or companies selling into the US actively. But I think the other factor that doesn't get talked about is the fact that YC is still like a 6-month cycle until last year. Now it's a 3-month cycle. And for most companies in India, pre-seed and seed capital is available in 2-3 weeks if you are a good enough company, locally as well. So I think that does have a factor to play if they're selling locally. So if you're a B2C company or a B2B company selling within India, YC firstly can't help you in the way by being in the Bay Area because you have no insights, or them as investors can't add more value than capital for you. Secondly, you don't really need to wait for those 3 months because you'll probably have investors locally who will just go ahead and do your pre-seed and seeds. And then, of course, there is a shift of focus as well. So I think all of them combined kind of have created this whole reduction in numbers.
Thank you, Fenil.
Yeah, I would say like there are also a lot of issues like the flip structure and on setting the bank, setting up the company. Because I'm an Indian founder, I cannot directly do a share purchase in the US entity, and YC requires the founders to have at least 10%. And before, like there was a gifting mechanism in the US where you could just gift shares from like a US citizen would gift you shares. But right now we have to go through the entire route of setting up a LLP here and then buying shares. So it's more like like a problem, because what happened during our YC batch was like we did not get the funding money till the demo day. Like we probably got it after the demo day. So it was like an extreme painful process, and it distracted us from focusing on the right things. And because YC batch is so intense, you cannot do anything except work. So it's like, yeah, there are also like a logistical issues with Indian entities that's going on. So yeah, that might be one of the reasons.
Yeah, and Bhavesh, what does this mean for Indian founders?
Yeah, I think from my personal experience, uh, apart from all the bureaucracy and the logistical issues, YC was still fine. It was still good. So if you keep all this aside, which takes like an hour of your time probably almost every day, or like it's more of a mental barrier than anything that has to do with YC. So I still prefer people going into YC. The experience was obviously amazing for people in India who do not have that kind of environment. It was really new for me. So yeah, even with everything that the Indian government is trying to do, or the RBI or everyone, I still think YC is a great experience going out, seeing how other people have a work ethic and how things are happening around the world. That gives a new perspective on how we should try on building and what mindset we should have when we start building. Usually in India, the mindset is to start small, think small, but then when you go out, you actually see that starting small is good, but then you always have to aim for something that is really big out of your personal custom. I don't know. uh, so I don't know how I should explain that, but yeah, just thinking big, I guess.
Sure, thank you. Shubham, any quick thoughts on this? What is this? Is it a negative signal for Indians? Why bother applying when there's only so few? Right, that's what going through a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, I think so. If you see the time where most of the Indian companies were selected for YC was during the COVID, where not much of logistical issues were there, and then because of AI as well as there is no barrier to entry to any market now. So now the whole every market is open because of AI, and hence the YC is able to find more and more founders in US. On the other side, about the Indian entities and all, I did some research beforehand. So before even applying to the YC, we didn't had any legal entity. We were talking to the customers, had our website, but we didn't worried about the legal stuff more. And it was only after we got into YC that we started that process, and that actually saved us a lot of time. So yeah, that could be one thing.
Cool. Yeah, Shaunak, any quick final thoughts on this topic?
No, I think I just agree with most. I think most of the points have been covered, but I think I have to agree with like Fenil and Shubham. Like, I think the entity structure thing does get in the way a lot. But apart from that, like, I really think that people should try, especially like for YC, because like, personally, I think YC really appreciates like technical talent, and I think that's something that in India we have in abundance. And if like I think that for them it's like if you have the ability to execute and really just build good products, especially if you're coming from a technical background, that's still something that they value, right? So I think it's just about for them, like if it's a market fit for them and in the kind of US kind of market, and maybe like recently I probably don't have a lot of context on that front, but I think it's definitely still something worth doing for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'll quickly add my caveat to this, which is that under the recent era, especially under Gary Tan, although this actual trend predates Gary's tenure as CEO of Y Combinator, I've seen a distinct, focus on shift on YC's core thesis to AI centric for sure. Obviously, that's happened last year or so, last 2 years, and definitely US centric, right? I can't think of a single company building for Bharat or building even for India One to in the last 4 batches, honestly speaking. Although I guess some of them are, but Bhavesh, I guess you slightly are to some extent, of course. But others are, yeah, not really. Because it was very different. And if you look at YC's successes in the India cohorts, you see, Razorpay, Meesho, Grow, Zepto, ClearTax, these big outcomes were all actually building for India. And the only one which is kind of a really sizable outcome building for the US is perhaps Observe AI. And there's a bunch of others, of course, coming up very fast. But yeah, interesting to see this trend. My take on it is that Gary's, very focused on US, AI, and BNSF, 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 right? That's kind of my take. And if you are applying, just read into the numbers, right? It is where it is. So yeah. I don't have a great explanation for it, but yeah. Okay, good. I'll get to some of the questions more, but let's dive into these slides and cycle through. Vikram?
Yeah.
I just asked the panelists to rejoin on the broadcaster link, which Vikram's sending you. Then you can see the chats. You won't be able to see the chats otherwise. So, yeah. Vikram, do you want me to send the link to them? Or?
I'll just forward.
Okay, cool. Okay, how did YC help you to think differently about what to build and how fast to ship or what to cut? So this is really about post getting in, right? We'll come back to getting in and how to increase your chances of getting in. But in the meantime, what did you experience about how YC helped you to build, ship, and cut? Let's start with Shubham again.
Sorry. Yeah,
Shubham, why don't we start with you? How did YC help you think differently about building, shipping fast, and cutting things out?
So initially I thought like YC always tells the same things to every company, which is like start slow, start fast, but we're really small team and focus on one product, fixed area itself. But our startup itself was different. It was into HR tech, and both of our co-founders had great experience about it. And the first day itself from our partners, both Harj and Nate, they told us to hire few engineers and build as many products as possible and not too much worry about finding a product market fit during the batch, because HR Tech is a space where it requires you to cover a lot of angles together. So that was a very much different thinking, because it's not easy for two founders to start and like build like 5 6 products parallelly. It's always the different way which every, I would say, your friends, your like founders from different company would tell you. So that was something which was really interesting for us as well. And then another thing, even like YC talks about taking doing more party rounds, small funding, but they actually mentioned us to go with a good big investor, so that it helps us with respect to the branding side of things, as well as to push this HR tech product into bigger enterprise companies as well. So I think so this was very very much important in a way in which we are building it right now. And yeah, it was all because of YC.
Thank you. Arko, how did YC impact your thinking throughout the batch?
Yeah. Hi. I mean, for us, it was very close to what I think Bhavesh was mentioning previously. It kind of 10x our expectations at core on what we want to do, how we want to build, where we want to get to. And I think our entire roadmap changed since we got into YC and we started interacting with our partners. Luckily, we were probably the last uh, group that got Dalton and Michael together. After that, it got split up. So I think having both of them, it was really uh, like it was it was a nice perspective to have, that you don't need to worry about optimizing uh, on pricing, optimizing on the things that don't matter right now. Just focus on PMF, and PMF is how and then defining what's the right KPI for PMF. It's not always revenue. You can keep revenue as a marker, but then with that, are people using your product the way you want them to use it, or are they? Is it sticky enough? How long are they going to be using it for? How can you multiply that? So pretty much focusing on the right metrics and KPIs and seeing how you can push that. And I think a lot of bias towards action and less towards planning. Like, just don't plan too much, just execute your way out. If something breaks on the way, you'll fix it. That's largely what you would want to look at. and I think cut out all the distractions around. So
Right.
like when we first joined in, we got an email with like, this is where you can get cleaning people for cleaning your apartment. This is where you can order things from. So don't spend time on cooking. Don't fight with your co-founders on who's going to do the chores. Get people to do it. Just focus on building and minimize any form of distraction around you.
Yeah, nice. Fair enough. Shubham already answered. Shaunak, Bhavesh, Fenil. Do any of you have any recollection of being stuck in a pivot hell, and how did YC help you at all, or have you experienced any part of that?
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to go ahead?
Go ahead,
yeah,
Shaunak.
yeah. Sound go ahead.
Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, so I can actually like attest to that because like within like we had a shorter batch in general, and the thing is like within like a month or so into it, we basically decided to pivot. And one of the things that like it was a really good experience for us is that like like in one of our office hours we had this talk that came up, which we basically like highlighted that like any product without users is just a project, right? And especially when you kind of come from this engineering mindset, you have this want to kind of like just build and build. And at that point, like we had like a very honest conversation, and we were like, okay, you know what, we're just not finding users for this. And then we realized that it's really important to set our goals and our expectations accordingly, and really just go find those users and try to get them to use your product. Or if it's not, find those KPIs or like those metrics as to why they're not using it, and make those decisions really fast, right? Because that kind of helps you iterate a lot better, and it also gives you direction, right? So I think in that way, YC has been really helpful because it's not just that with your partner, but also through other people's experiences. You're just learning really fast, and it's helping you just make those like course corrections really, really fast in really short amounts of time. So yeah, that really helped us. Yeah.
Nice. And I think Fenil was trying to say something.
No. Yeah, but like I can share. So yeah, I mean like YC kind of during our batch, like our group partner was David Lee, the founder of Google Photos. So the basic idea was that don't do the build, iterate, and like sell. It was like sell first, then design, then build. So get the money first, get the commitments first, get that the pain point first, and then go and build what they want. So that's what we kind of followed during the batch. And like at the end of the batch, before 1 week before demo day, we just had a Slack bot. That was our only product. We just built the product to show the investors that okay, this is how it's going to look like, and this is how eventually the platform is going to shape up. That was the only thing. But initially we had like around 30 customers during the batch, and all of them were on Slack. So we realized that okay, like just also it helped in two ways, like having more customer conversations, because all our customers were on Slack. We could DM them, we could talk to them. We still do the same thing. All our customers are on Slack, but also we have a product now. So the main optimizing point was that are you having more conversations with the customers? Because at initial stages, KPIs don't matter, your metrics don't matter. It's the feeling that matters. And if you're not able to absorb the feeling of the customers, they will churn. So are they coming back to you? How do they feel about the product? So that was my experience.
Yeah, thanks, Fenil. That echoes what I saw during the match, which was and this was Dalton telling our team just the mantra which just hammered into us every day for 8 weeks, right? Which was code all night and speak to customers all day, code all night, speak to customers all day, code all night, speak to customers all day. And we kind of listened to it for a few months, and we're like, this guy just keeps going on saying the same thing and again and again. And about halfway through, we were like, holy shit, like, that's so cool. Why didn't we listen at the start? Like, I wish we'd actually just understood what he was trying to say. And that formula literally works. It was crazy. But yeah, it's definitely, that's what helped me during the course of the batch in terms of shipping fast and building. So yeah, cool. Okay, let's move to the next question. I think let's skip this one. Let's go to the next one. I like the next one actually. Is that okay? Vikram, can we skip this one?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think really leveled you up, guys? Let's start with Arko again. What leveled you up here on this one, Arko, in terms of, especially on the technical or leadership side? I think you were more on the leadership side as CEO, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, on the technical side as well, when we were like, that there's no way of not working on the technical side early on. That's something that I see pretty much ingrains in you. Of course, you eventually don't do that enough because somebody has to pick up on everything on the other side. Having said that, I think when we came in, there were two major pieces. Personally, the one thing that I keep mentioning to everyone that asks me this, something around this, is that it kind of 10x our ambition of where we want to get to, what our vision has to be, how far we want to scale this company, and how we want to scale it. Because I think, again, I might be a bit biased and I might be a bit, I have a strong opinion on this. I feel like we did not have that in Bangalore. Whoever we spoke to was like, why not build vertical agents? Why not go ahead with these specific sectors? Why not scale a little bit and then go ahead and go for the larger scale? And they're like, and then when you land in YC, they're like, here in the Bay Area, you have unlimited capital. It's not a zero sum game. Everybody can be successful. So just go ahead. Like, what would you do if you were given all the capital? Just build it like that. I know it's a very aggressive form of thinking about things, but I think that's also that something that creates a disproportionate outcomes 5-10 years later. And I think that that ambition and just breaking that glass ceiling is what happens. And for I would never study in the US either, so I've never spent extensive amount of time in the US. For someone coming from say a middle class Indian background and then being in the Indian ecosystem, this was refreshing. And uh, it was never about how is it going to be done or this can't be done. It was always about how you're going to do it, how much capital do you need to do this, how much time do you need to do this, and what's the path to it. Do you have a plan to do it? It was never about cool, you guys can't do it. I mean, I'm from Manipal. I don't have a tier one college. I never worked in any company uh, before this. I was right out of college when I started Pipeshift. So honestly, they didn't even look at pedigree. They were like, "How ambitious is your goal?" And then go ahead.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, Bhavesh, any thoughts on this about leveling up?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned in the first statement I said, it was mostly about how to go out of your mental barriers rather than anything else. And on the technical side, I think not really, but on the leadership side, I think leadership is mostly about what are you envisioning. Even from the first question that was, so when we went into YC, we had two options: either build for India or go for the US market. And we were advised very strongly to aim for India, and we did not really want that. But then we just took their advice. Uh, they told us to be the best in India rather than be like fifth or sixth or seventh in the US. So I think that kind of thinking where if you're working on something, you just got to be the best on it. No one should surpass you is some kind of the thought process or the mental challenge that we took on. And I think that was something that really made me, I think, happy, I guess.
Thank you, Fenil.
Yeah, related to the question or the markets?
Yeah, just on the, leveling up. What part of you
Yeah, I
changed?
mostly it was like obviously both of us, me and my co-founder, are like extremely technical. Like worked on large scale distributed systems, ML engineering, AI, and all of that during our college and even after joining our companies. So the mostly thing was like the level up wasn't like resilience, I would say, because you get punched with new facts on a daily basis, especially when you're trying to innovate in an existing market. Like if you just like go for the same old product, and with trying to innovate is that you just go into your own zone trying to engineer the greatest product you think you can build. But it's like talking with the customers kind of keeps you extremely grounded and like yeah. So there's a saying in YC like you need to have like be a person who has type 2 kind of fun. So it's like, can you accept the truth? Can you get to the bottom of what customers want? And that requires a lot of resilience because you have to let go of all the biases you had, all the instincts of engineering you had, to be more empathetic towards the customers. So that is what level up.
Cool, thank you, Fenil. Yeah, let's move to the next question, Vikram. And yeah, I think actually, yeah, let's focus on this. So, just couple of quick stories. Shubham, any story that you can extend to us about how your partners helped you.
I think so. I covered this in my first answer only, but to add to it, Nate, who was, I think so, the CEO slash CTO for Lever Jobs. uh, Very interesting partner. Every time we went to him talking about all the ideas which we had and how we are selling to our customer, it was like full bashing session where like he was very open, no sweet talks. Exactly, like each and every point he will pick and question on why is this statement which you asked to this user, why did you reply in this way? So a person who sold his companies for like 600 million and then helping you around with each and every line you talk to the customer and like training you across this was something very much amazing. He also used to keep track of like how much revenue every week, 2 weeks, every company is tracking. And even if you say like, yeah, that customer is super excited, he said yes on email, still he would consider it as no. Like till the time you actually have a signed contract, it's no. So it's always pushes you to do the right thing and in a very right way and pinpoints each and everything, which was like something very amazing, which I found from a person who was super senior, super experienced. Yeah.
Thank you. Shaunak, from your partners?
Yeah. So we had Harsh, and I don't know, like, I think a lot of people might relate to this when I say this, but in a very weird way, your partners really just know you in ways that you kind of don't know yourself. Uh, and that kind of happened with us because when we went in, we were kind of trying to conform to, what people wanted to hear about our product, right? And over a lot of iterations of just office hours, Harsh really just sat down with us, right? And he tried to kind of guide us, like, okay, what is it that you're trying to do, right? And really just push us to like, really look within ourselves and really try to see like what makes us unique as founders, right? Like, what is that skill set that's unique about you that's going to make you succeed and be that one differentiator that's bigger than everyone else, right? So we really leaned into being into our technical side, into really going deep into DevOps and just doing what we were really good at, even technically and as a product and what we wanted to see. And that kind of led to, what I was talking about earlier into like a pivot, right? And that's something that like I think it's really underappreciated, like for a lot of people that that's something that initially like a lot of people around you might be like, oh, this is not something that would work out. And as Arko was saying earlier, like build vertical agents or do the thing that's kind of hot, right? But how really kind of like trained it into us that if this is something that you see a path for and this is something that you believe that you can do, it's worth pursuing because that's what's going to set you apart and it's going to push you ahead of everyone else, right? So I think that was a really pivotal kind of experience for us, even in terms of like just where we were. And yeah, that's kind of also set us on the track that we are right now. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Shaunak. Yeah, I appreciate the insights. Vikram, let's move to the
Yeah.
next. Let's move to number 6, if that's okay. So, if a technical founder asks you, what does YC actually do for your startup beyond money and demo day? What's your honest answer, Arko?
I mean, for us, the thing is, it's not about for specifically a technical founder. It's more like your entire batch is building things in some way where they are all like you're not talking to people in suits who are like just business who are business leaders. These are founders who are just engineers who are trying to build products. So at the end of the day, when you're in the batch, I think just being in the batch around those 100 people in the group that you directly interact with, or 120 companies that you directly interact with, you see firsthand what are the engineering issues that they might have. So either you can on your so if you have any doubts, we have this whole Slack. I mean, every batch has it. They have a Slack channel called batch engineering. So any engineering doubts, you have every other founder coming in and help you. So you pretty much have think of it like you have bugs and you don't need to go to Stack Overflow debug them yourselves. Probably somebody else has already come across it, and everybody wants to ship so fast and they're extremely helpful. So I think that does add into the whole shipping fast cycle where you have issues, someone else will come in. I've seen two companies sitting and debugging like issues for a third company at night when like something was going wrong. So I think it's a really high touch and really close knit community that kind of wants to build together and grow together. So I think that definitely helps as a technical founder. And I think the other piece that might not be the exact might not be something that we were actively benefiting from, but I've seen a lot of vertical agentic AI companies and a lot of copilot companies have, is because of the kind of network that they have, the CPO of Anthropic, the entire core team of OpenAI, they're all literally available to you on Slack, who will come in and help you if you have any issues with their APIs. I mean, for us, like we know the entire core team of Llama now, because we build with open source AI. And so I think that opens up a lot more doors technically, so you know how to build it quicker than 6 months later for any other founder in any other place in the world, because they'll just lack the access by default.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you. Fenil, any quick revert on this about beyond demo day and money?
Yeah, I think like the network is of value, not in just terms of like the support, which Arko said. It's also like the best customers we have right now are YC customers. Even during for the till the demo day, we had 20 YC customers, 10 non-YC. 20 YC customers helped us build the product, like believed in us, and like were like more like friends, and as well as obviously getting value out of it. So that is one thing wherein like we have a very good network to test a product out, sell, and also get very honest feedback, because everyone is trained how to give feedback and what works in a product and what doesn't. So that helps. And also adding to that, like the YC alums are like my heroes of mine. So there's one anecdote, like I was just walking down the Oracle Park last month in SF, and I just walked into Solomon Hykes, the CEO of founder of Docker, just presenting, and I had a YC hoodie on, and he just immediately called me and explained Dagger agents to me. So it was like, like the community is so welcoming and it's so warm that you, if you're a technical founder and like if you had a computer science background and you know your heroes, like this is like the best place to be.
Thank you. Bhavesh?
Yeah, I think what Orko mentioned completely that obviously what Fenil mentioned, but I did not have like a good experience like that. But yeah, the community is the part which is I think the best part about YC. Even if they didn't give, no, they should have got us some money. Yeah. So yeah, I think yeah, the community part is actually the best part. Met a lot of people who I wouldn't have met in my life otherwise. They are helpful. They are experienced. They know how to do stuff. I had a similar experience where two startups were trying to debug for some other startup. I mean, yeah, the experience was really great just because the people were also great. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Arko, let's move to the next question, Vikram. Arko, your demo day, talk us through just how did that, how was the experience and any quick learning from that?
I mean, if I had to give the raw truth, it would be lots of fights, uh, because like all of us were like, how can we make the pitch better? And like, I mean, as co-founders, we were like literally like, you're like, we don't have time to sugarcoat anything. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Just fix this. Fix this. Fix this. Um, and I think for me, it was more like, because I was the one presenting, you'll probably have one person presenting. Ours was online, so it was still easier. I don't know how it was. I would love to know from the people who are back in person. Our demo day was online. So I think for us, just getting it right, getting the message through, was the only issue 24 hours before. Because you start speaking to investors before the demo day. And your script and other things are usually prepared. You're prepared. It's more about, are you gonna get the recording right? Are you gonna get the how quickly are you gonna get the recording right, diction right? Will you mess up? And then you have your co-founders sitting there who are like, "This is wrong. Do it again. Do it again." So I think that's the only piece. Otherwise, there were no issues on prepping it. You were already speaking to investors, so you know what's gonna come after demo day. Your decks are ready. Your pitches are ready, because you already work with the partners during the office hour for that. So I think you are well prepared. I think it's just that executing the demo day is the only core thing that you want to work at, because uh, it's like you have to become a showman for like a minute or two, which by default founders tend to not. They're like, I don't want to do all of that by default.
Yeah, thanks. Shaunak, your demo day? You just finished your demo day, right?
Yeah, we actually just had it recently and it was in person. And I have to say, it was like, it's one of the most grand experiences that I think I've ever been a part of. Just being in that like hall and like you have like literally almost like, everyone that you probably might hear of like in VCs and like Silicon Valley just like kind of be there. But I would say for us, it was like, as like, Arko mentioned, like, most of the pitch and everything is ready. And that is more about just like really going and selling yourself, right? Because like you have to be really articulate. You have to like have that story that you can sell people on that vision. And I think that's one of the core learning experiences, I would say, more than anything, right? Irrespective of how actually demo days goes. But if you're basically becoming a founder and you're getting into entrepreneurship, that's one of the biggest skill sets that you need to kind of have. Like, how do you go and sell people on your vision, right? Because most likely your product today, especially if an early stage startup, probably does not work, right? But how is it that you can capture people and like, sell them on that vision of yours and then really use that and then build those relationships, build that network, and then go from that point on to actually like, start building that future that you see for yourself. Right. So our kind of experience in demo day was kind of amazing. You get to meet some really amazing people. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see post that. Yeah.
For sure. Bhavesh, you also in the same batch, you just wrapped up your demo day, right? How was it?
Yeah, I remember Shaunak being really, really tired of talking to people, and as was I. Like everyone was, so we had like 1,000 investors putting in on the demo day. We had to talk to all of them. At one point, it's just tiring. I mean, yeah, you have to pitch your company, you have to do stuff, but then it's fine too. But then, before the demo day, I think I had my co-founder Gaurav. He's a really good showman, so I did not have to worry about that. But yeah, we practiced a lot. The pitch was there, and after the demo day, I think we were just busy scheduling meetings with a lot of people. So I think that's it. And on the demo day, we were just tired talking to people.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Shubham, how was your demo day? You were remote, I guess, S24.
Yeah, so it was more of a presentation, but the next day was important where like it was again like all investors were there at YC and we were meeting most of them. Almost, I think so. YC has lost the way around like the demo days. Now they have again come back, I think so. But till our batch, I think so. 15 days before the demo day, almost like 30-35% companies usually finish their fundraising. Rest 35-40% have like finished half of it and half they do it on demo, then rest will do after demo day itself. uh, so it was more of connecting with more and more investors. We were able to find out some of my friends, ex-colleagues as well at the demo day. And yeah, and for people who have already got funded, we were all kind of helping our friends who were in the batch and who were raising at that time to get introduced to the investors which we know. And yeah, you get some success. Like introductions are very, very much important during these demo days as well. So yeah.
Great. Thank you. We're at the stage now where demo day has become back in person. For me, S17, it was in person as well at the Computer History Museum. Shaunak, where was yours? Was it up in SF?
Yeah, it's been SF, the Palace of Fine Arts.
Palace Finance, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful setting. Mine was at the Computer History Museum, which was a kind of an incredible location. And I remember thinking this is like this enormous kind of festival of capitalism. I've never seen anything like it. It was well over 1,000 investors. There was demo day was actually 3 days. There's the alumni demo day, which is like a practice run. Then the actual demo day where you all present. And then they had to split it actually because there was too many companies into 2 days. And then the fourth day was the speed dating day where you'd meet the investors that click like and you'd like back. And one thing that really struck me, which was good fun, was that they made they sat the founders down. There was like a hall full of 100 tables, and we all sat down, and they made the investors walk around, right? Which I thought was pretty cool, rather than making the founders walk around. It's just really that's YC for you, very founder focused and very founder friendly. So yeah. Good. Okay, let's dive into Q&A. I think that's what people want to do right now. Lots of questions streaming in. and we can dive in. Vikram, let's you can start the screen share now. Vikram, let's synthesize some of these. I think you've sent me a few on the chat on WhatsApp, so I'll try and cycle through a few. We'll try and go through these pretty quickly, folks. If you have any questions, please post them on the chat for everyone to see. Yeah. Okay. How is the ecosystem helping people build in the hardware space? Any quick question? Is anyone here building in hardware?
No.
Okay. There was a couple of hardware companies in my batch and afterwards as well. I think YC is very understanding to hardware companies in my perspective. They give a long time for hardware companies to have to show, and during the batch itself, they're not as demanding on hardware companies in terms of showing fast results. They want to see exactly what your plans are and how you're growing. But they're very hardware friendly, much more so than, let's say, most accelerators or investors.
They love it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. They're big on it, right?
Exactly.
Ritesh is saying my company is Delaware C Corp. Would that be a plus? No, absolutely not. They don't give a shit whether you're a Delaware C Corp or a Singapore company or an Indian company. They don't care. At the time you're applying or getting in, it doesn't matter. You don't even need an entity. All of this stuff is dealt with after you've been accepted. Yeah. Chirag saying, how much of a significance do you think AI agents play, being part of the solution, will play if trying to raise 6 months from now? Let's dive into that. Fenil, what do you think about that one?
1 second.
How much? Chirag's asking, how much of a significance do you think AI agents will play, being part of the solution, if you're trying to raise from 6 months from now?
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, yeah, so there are like two type of pitches. One is the customer pitch and the investor pitch.
Mhm.
Customers don't care about whatever you're building till you provide value, and investors, yeah, they're frenzy about AI agents. So yeah, I mean, like, you could add agents to your tech, like at
And-
least the pitch.
And adding to that, Chirag says, do you think you need to be an AI agent company to get into YCB for the foreseeable batches? Can you add to that, Fenil?
No, I don't think so. Like mostly, at least for YC, like if you're talking specifically about YC, I'm talking about the investors at the demo day are more like all the product and the agents and the fluff friendly.
Yeah.
At least YC has always been true to like the founder market fit. Like if you can prove that you are a founder who's resilient to the market, is resilient as first part. Like most of the founders who get accepted are like second time founders or third time founders who have applied. And the second is founder market fit. If you deeply understand your market and it fits you, then you have a better chance than any product or anything.
Okay, Arko?
Yeah,
You
I
have to
mean,
be an agentic AI company to get in?
I agree with Fenil. I mean, you don't need to be. I think the amount of AI companies in the batch is just a trend of how many early stage companies are AI companies in the world today.
Yeah,
So I think that's what's affecting it. I don't think so. YC is specifically selecting AI companies alone. We are an infra company. I think Shubham here is building like a hardcore SaaS company at the end of the day. And I know people who are building like missiles, who are building data centers. So I don't see AI companies being the only thing. I think many early stage companies are building in AI. So that's a trickle down effect of that.
For sure. They've said that in the recent, what's their podcast called? Lighthouse or something like that?
Litecoin.
Litecoin, yeah.
They said that in the recent, exactly what Arko just said. They said, look, is there a quota that they have to get a certain number of AI companies? They said, no, that's bullshit. There's nothing like that. It's just a function of who's building, or where are all the smart founders building, and they're like, okay, let's go after smart founders. They specifically say that, and it might look very different, but yeah. Okay, Shaunak, any quick perspective on this? If we're targeting US and international markets, versus India markets, what's your quick perspective on that?
I think these days with the amount of like actual potentially like you can sell to almost anyone, right? So the thing is like you have a lot of like international payments solutions in general. I think it's most likely about targeting where the need for your market is and where your price point is. And like I can say this like even with comparison, like we were like prior to like YC, I was working on another company which was more for like art creators and stuff, right? And we tried to sell that in the Indian market as like an AI powered Canva, and it kind of just like the market fit for that was just not there, right? But that kind of product really works in the US market, right? Where you have less labor and like people are willing to pay for more self-serve products. right? So I think it's more about like you finding where your actual market and where your users are for a product like yours. And I don't think it's really about like where you're building from or like where you're trying to sell. It's just that, build a good product, find the right users for it, and if you can show that you can get customers for it, I think YC is really happy about that.
Interesting. Yeah. Shubham, any quick thoughts on that? Is it US versus India? Is it a clear focus on US centric companies, or is it a clear focus on Sid from Grayscale is asking? Is it that YC is seeing more ambitious founders on the ground in the US versus in India? Controversial question.
Again, like they would like there are like we are the examples where like we were in India and then went there. So it's all about like YC only cares about like two, three main things. First thing is by default, like if can you become a $1 billion valuation company? This is a starting point. Okay. So if your market, whatever you are targeting is lesser than that, please don't apply to YC. Uh, Second thing is how quickly you can reach there. If you can reach there in 10 years, again, 10, 15 years, YC is not interested. You should reach there very fast. And it should be a very, very big market. Like if you're like there were companies in our batch which were still selected, but their overall market size was supposed like 100 million, 200 million is the max revenue which you can get with this, or like 500 million. But like Vice will not select you mostly. You should aim for like a very big market and then start with a niche product little bit where like you can easily get into it, and then you build and expand, which is like the multi-product strategy which most of the companies are trying to do. And especially with AI now in the market, it's like you can build things very fast. Like even like as Arko mentioned, like we were not an AI company. I didn't know anything about AI when I went into the batch. Was like literally everyone talking about AI, and didn't know anything about it. Like starting from LLM, I need to learn everything. But as it went, after 1 month, I itself incorporated AI into our product now. So that's the way like everything is going about. So it's not about India, US, or anything. Just think about building a big company, very big vision, and like yeah, YC will take you.
Thank you. Yeah, Bhavesh, you are actually building for India, right? To some extent, am I right?
Yeah, we were actually told to build for India, but then I think Indian fintech is a really huge market and it's growing at a scale of at 14% per annum. So it kind of makes sense. So obviously Shubham's advice on building a big company is there, but then because Indian fintech is so big, we could actually get to a point where we can build a really huge company from India in the fintech space in the next 5 to 10 years. So I think that's why we were told to kind of focus on the Indian market.
Yeah.
India is the biggest fintech market according to me, by the way.
Exactly, yeah. According to
Bigger than
YC too, I
US.
guess. Yeah. Yeah.
And Sid's point about ambition, I have about 7% of all Y Combinator companies globally using my product, and I've got to say that Indian founders are the most ambitious that I've seen out of everyone. So I don't think it's about ambition, about that selection rate. I think it's more just a function of many things, just US centricity, US being in the US, building for very big markets, apart from big markets that exist in India, like Bhavesh was saying, but also just some logistical issues around visas, and yeah, just essentially some of those issues that have really come about to highlight this trend recently of a lower percentage. The other thing, by the way, is that the batch size is significantly reduced, right? The peak was 450 companies in one batch. Now it's barely, what is it, 100 companies, Bhavesh, something like that?
120,
No, we had 172 in our batch, but then it's like four times a year too. So
4 times a year. So now like one quarter, well, 1/3 or just under a third of the size of the batch, right? Of the older batches. So so definitely the batch size is reduced. So as well. So yeah, there's a couple of questions around incorporation here. I'm going to just quickly take all of these and just say, look, you don't need to incorporate before YC. You don't need to incorporate before you apply. You don't need to incorporate at any stage, right? In India, in US, doesn't matter at all. It's not relevant. Focus on what you're building the customers when you're applying and given a great application form. They even say it in the application form. So, so we'll skip some of those questions around incorporation in the interest of time. Okay, is there a YC for India? No, there's also not a clear delineation. What does YC for India, YC India mean? Is it a YC company that has a US holdco and India subsidiary? Is it a YC company that has a Indian origin founders, at least one in India? Is it a YC company that has a focus on India? There's not a clear delineation, to be honest with you, about
They
what
used
is.
to have something in Bangalore. They used to have something in Bangalore for a very brief amount of time.
Yeah,
They closed it.
yeah, they had a
SPP
partner.
has now. SPP now.
They had a partner here, which was Puneet, the founder of Super Daily, acquired by Swiggy, and then he joined YC for one batch, and then he moved on to Nexus recently. But where he's a venture partner. But honestly speaking, there's been no serious case of YC India. It's all been Indians, and then what is the definition? As I said, is not so clear about what is a YC India company, right?
SPC is there in India now, which is focused on the
That's right.
Bangalore.
South Park Commons is there exactly in a similar concept. Yeah. Okay. Sid's saying our visa challenges obstructing YC to accept international founders. Any thoughts on that? I mean, I've seen visa challenges, but does anyone have a quick thought on this? Arko, have you seen any challenges around that?
I mean, we had the visa to travel already. I mean, we had the visa
Okay, you
2
may
years
not.
back.
Okay, Fenil?
But they did ask us during the interview. They did ask us in interview itself, like, do you have any visa challenges?
Okay.
If
Yeah.
you have them, I think it might affect your chances. But if you don't have a visa issue, then I don't think so that'll be a problem.
Yeah, sure. Getting a US B1, B2 visa currently is taking a lot of time, but there are a bunch of brokers. Contact me if you need a broker who can get you a much faster slot within weeks versus the 1 year slot, 1 year timeline for a slot right now. But yeah, worth applying for a B1, B2, getting out to the US if you can, regardless of YC, in my opinion. It really opened my eyes anyway to the whole world and Silicon Valley and building fast and so many things. There's great times to visit, like SaaStr, which is next month, is a phenomenal time to visit. San Francisco Tech Week, which is in October, is a phenomenal time to visit, regardless of YCs. Okay, how come the customers are on Slack? Is it okay? So, is Mayuk saying, Fenil, you said sell first, design, and then build. Is an MVP enough to sell? Right. That's an interesting one, Fenil.
Yeah, like it depends. Like, so just like if you're just delivering the results, if that's what the value is given to the customers, you just have to give them the results. Just think of like you're a doctor and all you need to give is consultation and tablets. You don't need to have a hospital. Hospital is for trust, hospital is for scale. So if you are able to establish trust, that is an important factor. You just can't go and sell, like, because there was some level of trust with the customers, that became super easy. So build trust, deliver on results, and they'll pay. So yeah, that's
cool. Bhavesh? Build first, sell first, design first.
Yeah, I think you just have to sell first, I guess, but depends on what you're selling actually. If you're selling something that you have to show how it works completely, then you should build it out first. But then if you want to sell a dream, you should sell the dream first.
Shaunak, what did YC teach you about this?
You should sell. Like if your product requires you to have an MVP, build that out. But as Bhavesh said, like if you're selling a dream or you're selling a vision, you have to sell that first. But like I think what people really confuse a lot about, like, when people say, go build a product, is that they forget that a part of having a product is having users. So they keep building, 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 and like they just forget that, the user is supposed to come into the loop at some point. So yeah.
Thank you. Shubham? Build first, sell first, design first.
Our approach was different. We knew what we need to build. So first thing which we do was research more. This again comes from the experience part of me working in this industry already. So we knew already what the customer wants. So it's more of a research and analysis, which we did first, and then actually directly went ahead, talked to the customers about like, yeah, we are building something. Would you be interested? Lots of selling. One or two said yes. In between, we started building, but it took us like almost like 5-6 months to actually deliver the final minimum MVP product to them.
Yeah.
And now it's going smooth. So
yeah,
depends on each and every thing.
Is that a joke that what is it? First time founders build first, and second time founders sell first, or whatever it is. I genuinely think YC. It actually goes back a long time. More than 10 years ago, Paul Graham wrote a nice article saying, "Go as far as you can without coding." Right, and And during the batch, obviously they encourage you to code, but that's once you figured out your problem statement. But really, it's really interesting concept, and I found it works super well. Which is there a willingness to pay, right, without even a product or with even a shitty product, right? And if there's that serious willingness to pay, then of course you know what to build, right? But if that willingness to pay is not there, then whatever fancy design and build you make, no one's going to buy it anyway, right? So that real problem statement has to be that hair on fire problem, right? And that's what I got into my head during the batch. But this is coming about recently with revenue, right? We're seeing a massive uptick, and Tom Blumfer tweeted this as well, where YC companies in the recent batches are able to scale up to six-figure ARRs during the course of the batch much faster, or even get there before demo day, which wasn't happening in older batches. Arko, any quick thoughts on this? Like how is revenue scaling happening? Is it just a function of the fact that the AI boom is making that happen for everyone, or is it YC in particular?
I think it's majorly because now bigger companies are buying from startups much more frequently than they would in the past.
Nice point,
Because most of the big companies just have not figured out things as quickly as you would you would expect them to in the past. Like there's a lot of unlearning and relearning to be done in AI, and somebody with 20 years of experience versus somebody who's just fresh in college who has hacked around a bunch of things knows a lot more. So I think that's something that even enterprise CXOs and VPs understand. We sell to mid markets and enterprises actively, so I think that definitely is something that we are seeing, that they are open to having a conversation. They're open to fixing problems with startup rather than going to the AWSs of the world and Microsofts of the world, because they know that at the end you're being sold snake oil. You don't really have much. It's all fluff at the end of the day that they'll come in and throw at you. So I think having said that, I think this does help in scaling the revenue. Second thing is there is a lot of budgets that are opening up for AI because everybody wants to try to figure out what's happening. So I think that's definitely trickling down to these revenues. I don't see this being a long-term trend once people have figured out where they'll actually deploy the money. I think it's just a discovery process, so everybody's throwing resources at it. And I think it's and yeah, I think that's these are the two major pieces that are causing this.
Yeah, Shaunak, any thoughts on this one about revenue growth in the recent batch that you saw, Winter 25, right?
Yeah, no, I think like this is actually pretty accurate, what Arko mentioned, especially from like, the business point of view, because like something that like very surprising happened with us also was that like, the minute we kind of announced our company to the market, like we had like, these really big firms and everything to kind of just reach out to us, right? Which I don't think was like really happening before, right? And they're just like really willing and they're really interested in like, kind of like any kind of automation that we can do, because even though for a lot of companies right now, the ROI is not very easy to measure, just like, if you can trade off that for like just saying that this is the number of headcount that I have in my company, right? And this much of it is what I can make more efficient by this much percentage, and this is the cost that's going to go down, right? That's something that a company would be in, like if you can do that by 20 or 30% with whatever accuracy, even it's comparable today to human efficiency, I'm going to take that, right? So that was one big learning that I think that we saw firsthand. The second thing I would say, when you kind of put yourself in the shoes of a startup and a founder, one trend that was there in our batch is that it's also easier to sell today because how AI-based tools have kind of enabled people to build faster, right? Like in our batch, for example, like I don't know a single company who is not using Cursor or Windsurf to like, build and ship their product, right? And the thing is that you're able to execute and launch and show MVPs in your first demo call with the person, with something that actually works and solves their problem, and they can see the outcome, right? And that also makes the buying decision a lot easier for a lot of these customers because they're actually able to see that, okay, this product works, and with probably a few customizations, I can actually have this shipped into my company within like, a month or two or whatever your timeline is, right? Which I don't think was possible before in any kind of, generation of startups. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, great point. Shubham, same point on revenue growth. What did you see in S24?
So I think the major change which happened in
versus what you're seeing right now in your startup and others.
Yeah, so I think so. The major change happened in the industry in the last, like this all last 2 years with the AI is the way companies or big companies consume product has changed. Earlier it used to be like dashboards and like whole user flow, admin building stuffs. That has now drastically changed to like most of the time it's either a chat based system or it's like running a workflow and getting a result, right? So, and whatever is happening at the back end, which is a black box, that LLMs and AI are able to solve very easily. Whereas 2 years before, 3 years before that, there used to be a heavy engine or system behind it to run it. So hence we are seeing like big companies are also coming forward in using this product. Like same for us as well. We have created like just two APIs where like one you give the information, second you just take the information, simple as that. On complex products where like you just become the black box. So I think so this market shift in the last 1 year has been really significant where like companies are now open to talk to startups and get their services.
Cool. I want to talk very briefly, and we're going to wrap up in 5 minutes, but very quickly about the pairings of CTOs, COO, CFO, sorry, CEO, CTO, COO, and about what it means to have a diverse and meaningful combination there. There's a question here about technical founders as well, which I want to address. But most importantly, I want to see what your thoughts are on having a diverse founding group. For example, the six of us are here are all um, uh, men, and that's disturbing to me. And I think that's generally been a trend with YC over time, and that really hasn't changed much. What does everyone think about this? Anyone has a quick opinion on this, Arko?
I mean, it's uh, it's about like what you at core optimize for. If I mean, it's not really about where you come from, who you are, uh, but if you at the end of the day, if you are having the talent and if you are building it out, then like you can like it's not about like being a guy or not. It's more. I know it's counterintuitive because all of us are over here are guys, but then I don't see that being a factor. Like in our batch, there were a lot of female founders. There were founders from every ethnicity out there, so I don't see that being a, uh big factor from say a founder point of view. I do know that most Indian founders are still men and guys, but hopefully that changes on the long term. Uh, Having said that, I think creating it purely from the perspective of how a CEO, CTO, CEO, all of this should work out in the founding team. I think when you are setting up a founding team, you know what each other's strengths are. I think I'm really lucky on this front. I'm working with Enrique and Pranav for like 6 years now. We were first year like roommates in college. So I exactly know what Enrique is good at, what Pranav is good at. They know what I'm bad at. So we clearly know what everybody is good at and what everybody can. So I know that Enrique and Pranav are like the best engineers I know personally. So let them code. And if I'm the worst engineer amongst them, I have to take up the burden of going and trying to sell. That's how I've kind of divided that. And then they exactly know when I need help, what I need help with. I know when they need help, what they need help with. I think that's the core dynamic. It's less about fragmenting it out that you sell, because many times Enrique or Pranav are selling in calls when I'm not available. So it's less about you sell, you code. It's more around figuring out who takes accountability. Like if there is something that's going down wrong on fundraising or finances or sales, I would have to take the accountability even if they're helping me 10%, 20% of the time. I think it's about setting up the accountability of who's responsible for what, because I think decision making is what sets startups apart. You have to execute really fast. So in that, if there is something that's going wrong, whose decision is going to be taken? Otherwise, you'll keep fighting amongst each other. So if there's anything on tech, I can give my suggestions, but if Enrique or Pranav decide something, I'll just shut up. And same thing on the business side. If something I is going through after that, if it goes wrong, then they have every right to critique me. But I think that dynamic is really important.
Yeah.
We are friends. We work together for a long time, so I think we know it. We know it really well. I don't know how to create that again with someone. It's also about like, can you have a fight and then go and have a beer immediately after, without, and then next day have a meeting together and execute together. So I think that's not something you can
manufacture.
I don't know how to rebuild this.
Yes.
There's nothing specific I can say.
Thank you. Fenil, any quick thought on the diversity of the batch size?
Yeah, right. I have kind of different opinions than Arko. Like, the lifestyle or I was living during the YC batch wasn't sustainable.
That I agree.
Like,
That I
and it
agree.
was
As a Indian founder, you can't.
yeah, it's a very guy energy uh, uh, frame that I was living in, my co-founder, and yeah, I mean, I would say like it's super intense, and yeah, that would kind of make it a little biased for guys.
In my view, this perspective has come, and honestly speaking, like it's a function of who's applying, right? And what we want to do is make sure that there's an extremely proactive and comfortable place for everyone to apply. As alums, I certainly feel that responsibility on myself, and so I put up my hand and say, anyone who's applying and who needs advice from whatever background you are, please come forward. All of these alums, I'm sure, I know them all very well, will be very willing to help and encourage and yeah, do whatever we can to help you apply successfully to the program. And that's something which YC fosters very nicely, is alums helping. Cool. We're going to wrap up there. Just one last quick thing, which I want to take from all of the panelists here. What do you think about the current kind of AI boom? Is it here to stay? And is it something that we should all just be taking as, it is a life-changing moment, an era-defining moment, just like, let's say, crypto was about 8 years back or whatever it was. Any quick thoughts on this, Shubham?
Crypto would be different, but AI, I think so. It's similar to how the boom in 2000, around 2008 was about mobile phones. Like it was again like if you have a mobile app, oh, you are a very big company. But then now it's like every big company in the B2C space I'm talking about, where like everyone must have a mobile app. Similarly, down the line, which I'm saying, like every company must have these AI tools, must build on something on the other layer on the AI side. This is going to be a very normal thing down the line rather than like crypto. I think so. Crypto still not everyone is on top of it, but mobile phone everyone is on it. Similarly, with AI, everyone would be on it.
Cool. Bhavesh?
Yeah, I think soon AI would be stitched on into our daily lives, but I think there's still time because I see there's a bubble where all of the tech people know that AI is there, and then when you talk outside of your bubble, they're like, "Oh, what the fuck is cursor? Or what is AI? What is LLM?" So I think it will take time, but I think it's here to stay. More like how internet. You don't think about browsing the web now, so you probably won't think about searching on something on ChatGPT instead of just searching on it on Google. But
Sure.
yeah, I think it will take time.
Thank you, Fenil.
Yeah, I mean, like we're all in for it. My company depends on it, so I'm obviously biased. But yeah, like
It's a
customers are
biased set of people, I think.
yeah, customers are seeing value. They are paying for it, even though it's not reliable 100% of the time. It takes enormous effort to kind of make the models reliably give the output. But still, customers are paying for it because a fraction of the value that they are getting right now is worth. So just when it increases and becomes like super, like we don't have to pay attention to the reliability, it becomes even more commoditized and more accepted.
Shubham?
Already answered.
I'm sorry, yeah. Shaunak? Given that you're
Oh yeah.
both, in fact, we'll come to you, Shaunak, last. Arko.
I mean, there's as I mentioned, it's definitely by a set of people. We are all building with AI or something in AI. But having said that, I think it's definitely a platform shift. Crypto wasn't, blockchain still is. So I think it was marketed wrong. But in AI, I think there is tangible value. There is definite uh, ROI for businesses, and I think I do agree with Bhavesh that Twitter is not where the world lives at core. Like when we speak to businesses, they still don't understand how things work, while we feel like on Twitter everything is gone like 10 years ahead. Uh, so I think there's a lot of like road to cover on AI adoption, but then I don't see this going away. There is clear tangible value. It's pretty much how you evolved from COBOL code to like C and then Java and now Python, which became very close to English, and now the language to talk to systems is English. So I think it's just a shift in how uh, platforms evolve. And then, as Shubham mentioned, you had mobile apps, you had on a mobile, now you have AI agents on the web, and these are like new systems and platforms being built out. Uh,
Yeah, perfect.
it's here to stay.
Thank you, Shaunak. You'll have the last note here on this. Given that you're building Truffle AI, which is kind of AI AWS for AI agents, what's your last take on this and quick thought on this?
Yeah, I think we are again definitely a bias, but we are extremely bullish on this space. The thing is that we've already seen this non-AI phase before this, where you had all this deep learning that used to happen in the last decade, and a lot of people don't know that these systems have actually already been in a lot of our products for quite a while, right? And it's actually been doing a lot of things, like even machine learning and just the statistics, how much fraud detection that just kind of goes into current banking systems, verification systems, and so on, right? So that has already had such a dramatic impact on how our technology behaves, that with the kind of unlock that LLMs are giving us today, that's only going to kind of grow exponentially, right? And that is something that I don't think a lot of people LLM is probably the first time it has a more consumer facing aspect to it, so people are more aware that something like this exists, right? And that kind of impact is something that people are starting to adapt and kind of absorb, right? But we're kind of on a trajectory where this is only going to get better. So we're pretty bullish on it. And I think that, yeah, this is going to be very, as Arko mentioned, it's a platform shift. And yeah, even if you just look at the kind of use cases that people are already using it for, getting on demand, just talking to ChatGPT just makes you smarter today, I would say, right? If you just know how to ask good questions, right? So yeah, we're pretty bullish on it. And I think it's actually a great time to, just be around. And if you're a curious person, I would just say you should just start, even with ChatGPT, spend a couple of hours a day. And I'm sure a year from now, you'll be just doing a lot better things. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much to the panel. Arko, Shubham, Shaunak, Fenil, Bhavesh, really great insights from you all. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you to the audience for participating with some stellar questions here. And thank you especially to Magicball for organizing this. And yeah.
Thanks to you, Anand. Thanks. You really pulled out a lot of raw insights from the panel. I really loved it. I found a lot of value out of here. I'm sure our audience also would have gained a lot of value out of it. I just have one quick slide to show, because I saw a lot of founders here asking about a review on the application side. Would not be able to take on the live panel, but I have presented a screen where we have two QR codes. So the one QR code on the left, people who wants to get their application reviewed, just quickly scan. I'll keep the slide for a minute so that you can, scan and fill out the forms, and will help you connect with the founders directly so that, they can help you, understand the process better and help you sort of fill the applications correctly. And as I mentioned in the start of the session, that we have a new format of event where we are hosting an event on 2nd of July here in Indranagar. So this event is still private. The current access is only with the Magicball community. So if you are willing to join, the QR is on the right. Quickly, you can just scan and you will be accepted.
Great. Yeah, I'm gonna just ask, how do the folks here get in this? There's a couple of questions around this. Was this recorded? How do the folks get this if they need to, or share it with them?
Yeah, so we have the recording of the session. I'll send out a feedback form, and I'll include the recording along with the feedback form in the form of a YouTube video, maybe.
Great. And finally,
the panel is fine with the recording being shared, right? Yeah.
We'll check in later with these guys. I'm just posting here now everyone's LinkedIn. I think if the folks want to get in touch with us, most welcome to get in touch with me at least. And I'm going to take the prerogative to say that's the same for the rest of the panelists, especially from a diverse audience, helping folks to apply, think through the application, and prepare for interviews and things like that. Here's this message, which I've just posted on the chat, with our LinkedIns and websites. You can see what we're all building. I hope this is helpful. Can everyone see that? I'm not sure if that went to everyone.
I hope everyone is able to, but if not, I'll make sure that this goes with email to each and everyone who has joined or who has signed up for the event.
Great. Sean's saying can be seen. So welcome to connect with us and reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And with that, we'll wrap up for today. See you for the next one.
All right. We're going to leave this open so you can click on the links. But yeah, thanks, folks. Take care. Cheers.